Hey everyone, it's Mike. Before we start the episode, I have a cool question to ask. Do you own a brewery? Do your customers love trivia as much as I do? Well, then you better listen up, because Geeks Who Drink weekly trivia nights are the cornerstone of event programming for over 650 breweries and bars nationwide. Geeks Who Drink trivia is consistently fun and low-effort way to build a community of regulars, because we all need our norms, cliffs, and all that, but we want to bring more people in as well. So you can even turn that slow weeknight into the busiest night of the week. So get started with this exclusive offer for my Taproom listeners and get your first quiz night free. Go to geekswhodrink.com/taproom and enter promo code Taproom. That's geekswhodrink.com/taproom, promo code Taproom. And now onto the episode. All right, and we're back. This is episode 64 of the Taproom Podcast, and I'm your host, Mike. Have a fun one today. Got to talk to Christian and Kate over at Campsite Brewing. Honestly, just a really, really great couple. And first time ever having a husband and wife on the show. So that's pretty awesome. Just hearing their story and how, the kind of trials and tribulations and all that kind of stuff that they went through just to be able to, to get the brewery going and, realizing their dream and incorporating two of the things that they love into Campsite. So it was pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to you guys listening to that. I will warn you right in the beginning of the episode, the train, because it's right by the train tracks and the train does come through. I tried to cut out as much as I can, so we'll see what the finished product sounds like. But yeah, it's a Sunday morning. Got some NHL playoffs. There's a game 1 today, the Hurricanes and the Rangers, and then a game 7. So we have Dallas and the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Knights. So the winner will play the Avalanche. If Dallas wins, the Avs will be going to Dallas. If Vegas wins, Vegas will be coming to Colorado. So it should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to watching those games today. A couple other things, like Darvin Ham got let go by the Lakers. So I was like, wow, I was kind of surprised. I thought the Lakers, played actually pretty damn well. They just couldn't finish games from the games that I did see. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, NBA playoffs are going on. I'll be honest, I'm not really watching it. I did watch game 1 yesterday, though, of Minnesota and Denver. It's a hell of a game. Minnesota pulled it out. So it should be pretty good. I kind of start to watch the NBA playoffs as it gets a little closer, to the Western Conference Finals. I said finals, finals and Eastern Conference Finals. So we'll see. I did do a couple of polls this week. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to mention. Yeah, Boston won. I picked them to win. So, glad that they pulled it out. Feel bad for the Leafs. I think they said the Leafs have lost so many game 7s in a row. So that's, you never want to be a part of that stat. But yeah, the couple polls I had this week, one of them, because yesterday was May the 4th be with you, was Star Wars Day. So I did a poll. I put, do you like Star Wars, love Star Wars, or no, there's something wrong with me? And I guess there's something wrong with a lot of people out there. Just kidding. But yeah, 32% of the vote said no, there's something wrong with me. 46% said they love Star Wars. 21% said they like Star Wars. So the Geeks Who Drink trivia question of the week was, what do you call it when you drop a shot of whiskey in a glass of beer? What is that called? Obviously, the options were Ironworker, Chicago Handshake, Boilermaker, Bosun's Call. This one was pretty obvious. It's a Boilermaker, and only a few people got it wrong. So I think it was about 100 people were correct with the 36. With the Boilermaker, and then there was only 2 people got the selected Handshake, and 3 people selected the Ironworker. So, yeah, kind of surprised. I was like, I figured that would be a little bit more. But the other question we had for this Sunday's episode was with summer coming, do you like shandies? Sorry, I can't talk this morning clearly. And let's see. So for 18, let's see. Oh no, that was 180. Said 55% of the vote said yes, and then 45% of the vote said no. So I was like, oh man, you got to give shandies a chance. They got some good stuff, and that's about all I have for the intro. Like I said, I really excited for you guys to hear this episode. It was really fun with Kate and Christian. Just really good people. And that's all you can really ask for, and go support, local. It's a really cool looking brewery. Can't wait for you guys to see the reel when this episode's out in about an hour or so. So yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on with the interview. All right, guys, we're back in the tap room, and I'm your host, Mike. And I have a couple of very special guests on today. I have Kate and Christian from Campsite Brewing over in Covina. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing awesome. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to come down here and, have a couple of beers and chat with you guys for a little bit. You guys have a really kick-ass brewery out here in Covina with just the whole art, and we'll talk about that more on the show, but the whole cabin vibe and everything like that. It's really cool. But the first thing I always like to ask people is how did you guys get into craft beer? Like your journey through the whole process. How did that happen?
Yeah. It really kind of started as a hobby, as it starts with most brewers.
Yeah.
And so one of my best friends, him and I spent a lot of time together, and he one day was saying like, hey, a family friend of mine is in a homebrew club, and it's really cool. They make all their own beer, and it's a neat atmosphere. You should come with me.
Oh, cool.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Go to homebrew club. Hadn't really, known too much about homebrewing, and wasn't a huge beer drinker, but went to the homebrew club and really thought it was neat, and was honestly kind of blown away by all these guys who got together and made all this beer and all sorts of different recipes. And so after that, we kind of got talking. We're like, wow, this is really cool. And both him and I we love to work with our hands and do DIY. He's an engineer. And so we thought like, hey, this is something that we could really get into. And so we went on Northern Brewer and bought a homebrew kit and brewed our first batch. And it was a wheat beer. We were really into wheat beers at the time. I think Widmer Hefeweizen was our favorite beer. And so we tried to make a clone of that, and that actually turned out pretty well.
Oh, nice.
And we're like, wow, this is pretty cool, and surprisingly easier than we thought. And so it just, the passion just kind of kept growing and growing, and we kept kind of expanding what we were doing. And we were originally in my buddy's house in Palos Verdes, in his parents' house, and his parents were starting to get a little pissed off at us for having so much crap in the laundry room and buckets here and all that stuff. So his uncle, there goes the train. So we're right on the train tracks.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
So Devin's uncle owned a machine shop in Torrance, and he had a little front office that he wasn't really using. So we kind of took over that space, and we would go every 2 weeks. We kind of go on a cycle. So we'd have like 3 batches going. One in primary, one in secondary, and then we'd bottle another.
Nice.
And so we kind of always had this rotating beer, and we obviously couldn't drink it fast enough, so we just would give it away to friends.
Yeah, of course.
And everybody was loving it.
Yeah.
And so it started as it's a really kind of fun hobby where we could be creative, and I think that's what really drew it to me. There's the science, the chemistry behind it, which is appealing to me, and then also the artistic part of it too, of recipe creation and being able to kind of create what your imagination wants to create in liquid form.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of got me started. And at the time, I was working as a paramedic. My wife, Kate, and I met when we were in EMT school.
Okay.
When we were up north. So we were both worked in the healthcare field. And I had gone to paramedic school. I was trying to get hired to be a firefighter.
Oh, wow.
And during that time, there's a big hiring freeze. It was really hard to get hired as a paramedic, as a firefighter. So I was doing that for a long time and started to get burned out. I was working for AMR in San Bernardino, and just working through hard scenarios kind of day after day. It really started to take a toll on me, and I started to think, oh man, what do I want to do? And I had this pretty amazing hobby of homebrewing. And so I call it my quarter life crisis of kind of deciding like, I'm not happy as a paramedic. What am I going to do? And Kate and I kind of joke, we took turns kind of supporting each other earlier on in our lives. And so she kind of said like, no, you should like see what this would look like. Like how would you pursue brewing? And so she had a nice stable gig as a nurse. And so it kind of allowed me to be like, okay, let's explore what this would be. So I kind of left my paramedic job and thought, let's try it. Let's see what it'll, like see what will happen. And so I got a job. My first job in the brewing industry was at SoCal Homebrew in Laverne.
Oh, okay.
So I worked at a homebrew shop there and really, really liked it. Really liked having customers come in and having a brewing knowledge and being able to share it with them and collaborate with on ideas and encourage new homebrewers. Because I think it's intimidating a lot of the time.
Oh, for sure.
It's amazing how I always used to tell them it's easy to make beer, or it's easy to make decent beer. It's hard to make great beer.
Yeah.
But it's actually really easy to make beer.
Yeah.
And so, but like everything in life, when I go about doing something, I go above 100%. So I really wanted to get a formal education in it too. So I joined UC San Diego's brewing certificate program and took their program and commuted down to San Diego twice a week for 18 months.
Wow.
But it was a really neat program. I learned a lot, and it was a very well-rounded program. Everything from recipe development, raw materials, to finances and kind of laying the groundwork of how to open or just start a brewery.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and then I got a job at was then Dale Brothers, now Last Name Brewing in Upland.
Yeah.
Started as a hand bottler, bottling some of their packaged beer and bombers, and then just slowly worked my way up to eventually managing the production at Last Name Brewing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then kind of right before our first son was born, kind of decided, all right, what are we going to do? What's the next step?
Yeah.
And that's when kind of the ideas of Campsite was born.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, tell us about it. And this is the first time I've had a husband and wife on the show.
Oh, cool.
So there you go. Yes, yeah. Tell us about it, Kate.
Yeah. So during the time Christian was home brewing, our biggest hobbies were craft beer and camping.
Okay.
I joke about how, like, before we had kids, we had so much free time.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not a joke. It's the truth.
So we would go camping with kind of the same group of friends that we would go together all over, like the desert. We did a lot of off-roading and overland camping. And we would bring Christian and Devin's beer that they made. And
nice.
We tended to do a lot of family-style meals.
Okay.
I liked to cook. I would cook over the fire like a big Dutch oven meal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So our hobbies were sharing food and beer with our best friends, and we would sit around the campfire and fantasize about making it our day job. Like, how could we do this for a living? And the experience of camping, of just like being in nature with friends and being, disconnected from devices and the stress of everyday life.
Of course.
We really wanted to share that with people. So Campsite, we really dreamt and fantasized about it far before it was a reality or something we were even that serious about. So like Christian was saying, I was a nurse. I was working in leadership. My background's in healthcare leadership.
Okay.
And Christian was working in craft beer, and we would talk about what kind of brewery we wanted. And the other thing we would talk about is how we would run things differently as not just business owners, but employers.
Mm-hmm.
And we really wanted to create a place where everybody felt welcome and really valued.
Yeah.
And healthcare, it's hard to do that as a leader in healthcare, to like really take care of your team, because there's a lot of barriers.
I bet.
So I got on board because it was so interesting to me, and I'm so passionate about creating a work environment that is conducive to people's lives and where they're happy to go to work and, feel taken care of, and like your work doesn't take away from your life. It adds to it.
Of course. Yeah.
So then when our son was born, we were looking at each other like, are we going to do this? And so we we got serious and started looking for a home for Campsite. We knew from the beginning Christian wanted it to be a brew pub.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I we took a lot of inspiration for Campsite from a lot of breweries in Colorado. We have some family and friends that live in Colorado, so we spend quite a bit of time there, and it's really interesting in a lot of cities, kind of minus LA and even a little bit San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of California, there's a lot more brew pubs than there are in California, and I always just really loved that concept. I really loved the food and beer together, and especially kind of our backstory of a lot of that kind of happening around the campfire for us. It made a lot of sense. And I always see the value. I mean, we'd always go to breweries when there was a food truck, and we'd go through the thing of like, what food truck is there? I don't know. And so we really wanted to set something up where people could come. They could come for the beer, or they could come for the food, and kind of the synergy of food and beer together, and creating the opportunity where people can come for 30 minutes on a lunch break and grab a burger and a beer, or come with their family and friends on the weekend and set up in the campground and sit around the fireplace and sit for 3 hours, 4 hours. We just wanted to create a place where people could come and share the beer and the food. So the food component was always high up there on the priority.
That's cool.
It also allows you to really diversify what's in the tap room.
Yes. Another big benefit is having the eating establishment allows us to serve wine and cider too.
Oh, nice.
So it really kind of opened the door for us to be as inclusive as possible. So I know a lot of people sometimes maybe shy away from going to a brewery because their partner or significant other isn't a beer drinker or doesn't like beer. So we were like, we have something for everyone. We have non-alcoholic beverages that we make in-house, wine, all that good stuff.
That's
Champagne.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, going back to camping, when we were deciding what we wanted Campsite to look like and feel like, we were actually very clear on what we wanted it to feel like. We wanted it to feel very inviting. We wanted it to feel like you were genuinely camping.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be a place. I kind of joke like we built it for ourselves. It's like it's made for people with families.
That's cool, though.
We want it to be a hangout place. Fire pits were a must for us.
That's cool.
Which made it very challenging to find a location where you could have fire outside.
Yeah, because I didn't even think about that aspect of it. That must have been pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it took a couple years to find a place that was a good fit.
Do you want to tell about our journey of finding a location a bit?
Sure. So we live in Claremont.
Okay.
We found a great spot in Claremont that we thought was like a perfect location for a brewery just south of the downtown. A good size for a little system. I mean, you would have done a much smaller system there.
I think, we probably could have done similar 5 to 7 barrel. We're 7 barrel right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were really excited about it, really pumped. The city was supportive.
Oh, that's good.
But we were in talks with the landlord for
more than a year.
Oh, wow.
Trying to negotiate a lease. And it was so challenging and so many barriers that we got to the point where we were like, okay, is this a barrier or is it a red flag?
Yeah.
And
what is the universe trying to tell us about this location?
And of course,
but we went. I mean, we got a conditional use permit. We got everything.
Wow.
We really wanted it, so we kept pushing, even though we kept having these roadblocks and these barriers. And
it's so funny. You think it's your dream location, and it's our dream. It's our our new mission in life. And then you find this location, you're working so hard towards it.
Yeah.
And we were working with the city. We were hosting community events to get support of the community because that's really important. Working with an architect to do drawings because we always felt like we were so close. We were so close. And then finally we had to make the hard decision of, is this working out?
Yeah.
So we decided not to. And it was devastating. I mean, we we felt like maybe this wasn't going to happen.
Like deflated.
Really deflated. And honestly, it wasn't that long until we found this place in Covina.
Nice.
Which is a 100-year-old packing house.
Yeah.
It was built in 1922.
Wow.
Packing houses are meant for breweries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it gives you enough space.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that industrial feel.
Yeah.
Amazing history. And then all the space for the outdoor
Mm-hmm.
seating. And in the community of Covina, which is very family oriented, we're right by downtown, we're by the metro.
Mm-hmm.
It checked all of our boxes and then some.
Yeah.
And really has become the home we didn't know we were looking for.
Yeah.
You know, like
the home you didn't know you wanted.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah. So it's a good lesson about, things don't work out
Mm-hmm.
and they, they'll end up how they're supposed to.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's just life in general. Like sometimes you feel like there's like a change you're unsure about or something like that, or something you dream about this happening. I think, and like I mentioned earlier, like taps and tailgates, I thought that was the one.
Yeah.
And then, people didn't like it. It kind of fell out of love with it. Not people, but the people that were a part of it. And now this happens. So, I mean, I totally understand that aspect of it, where it's like we have to kind of pivot, even though it's something you were so passionate about.
Well, and it's so interesting. It's such an interesting perspective to think you had the best, and then something better comes along,
Mm-hmm.
and it just gave us a bit of faith in that. Like, oh, I think we are meant to do this, and we just had to keep persevering and keep trying, and the perfect home fell into our lap.
Yeah.
But we were never, I've lived in Southern California my whole life. We knew we wanted it to be in Southern California, and we loved Claremont and wanted it to be in Claremont originally. But when we found this space, it made so much sense for us to, and also the city of Covina, we can't stress enough how welcoming they've been and how supportive they've been in our build process.
That's
awesome. One of
awesome.
our big hurdles during building was COVID, and that was a big challenge. I'm honestly glad that, we were building during COVID rather than just opening during COVID.
Definitely.
But it still slowed us down quite a bit. But it took us 4 years to build this place. And, we started with pretty much literally a 1920s packing house, and that's about it. So we had to put new gas, new electric, everything, new plumbing, just the whole thing. So it would have been faster and honestly cheaper for us to have just demoed the place and built a new building. But that's not what we wanted. We wanted the character. We wanted the history.
You wanted those bones.
Yeah, we wanted the bones. So, so we're really happy with where we ended up, and we're really excited about the city of Covina, and not only where they are today, but they're really putting a lot into growing their community and developing this kind of expanding downtown area. The area that we're in, it was recently rezoned to, they called a fair district, or fine arts industrial residential.
Okay.
So they're trying to kind of turn this into an arts district.
Oh, that would be
were
pretty
really
awesome.
excited because they wanted a concept like us. They wanted something to come in and be kind of the
anchor
to kind of create this expanding downtown.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited for the future of Covina. And just across the train tracks, the city has big plans on building a rec center and a dog park.
Oh, nice.
And hopefully a pedestrian bridge that comes over right here. So
there you go.
We're really excited for the future, and just our location being more and more accessible and more kind of tied to downtown.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think it's so cool too that, like, you're driving down, it's industrial area, then you see the big old log, you see a big old cabin, on the side, you're like, and it's eye catching, because then that's not, because obviously you're driving down the industrial area, you see that and you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
And it makes you want to stop, and it makes you want to look it up. Oh, what is this place?
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. We feel like it's hard, and a lot of breweries being in industrial parks and having a space where you have enough space for a brewery, it's often not in smack dab in a downtown. So we felt like this was a pretty good in between of, it's only a quarter mile.
Oh yeah.
So in theory you could walk. It's a bit of a long walk, but it was close enough. Yeah. Yeah. So it felt like it was close enough to downtown where we had a little a little bit of the best of both worlds of having enough space and being in an industrial area, but really seeing the potential of that someday it might just be an expansion of downtown.
Yeah.
And so it had really good growth potential for us too.
Yeah. I think that's cool that the city's, wanting like you guys to essentially be like the cornerstone of all this area. I mean, because even going back to maybe even 10 years ago, there were some cities that didn't want breweries around.
Yes.
And now I feel like they've kind of like learned and they've done their due diligence and realized like this is, it's community building. It's not just about going somewhere and getting drunk.
Yes. Well, and I think that's the big difference is people are realizing that the brewery scene is way different than the bar scene.
Oh, definitely.
And it has a lot to offer. And they're family friendly. They really are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And one thing I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that you like to cook and you would cook in the Dutch oven on over a campfire. What was your guys' favorite kind of thing to have when you would cook that stuff?
Well, good question. One of my go-tos is a chicken curry.
Oh, there you go.
So I would make it from scratch with coconut milk and lemongrass and all that over the fire.
There you go.
So when we were crafting our menu, we really wanted to like bring some of our favorites into our menu, but make them more accessible. So that's the birth of the chicken curry pot pie, which is on our menu. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So
as far as I know, there's no one's really done a pot pie chicken curry style. So it's kind of fun. And
I've never even heard of that before. Yeah, that's interesting.
But camping food is like, it's got to be cozy.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be
like chili,
filling,
and stuff like
satisfying.
That
chili is a must.
Mm-hmm.
So pot pie is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like chili and cornbread. That's like one of my favorite things to make in the winter is chili and cornbread. Yep. I'll let it cook for like 12 hours and do that whole thing. It's
amazing.
So good.
So good. Yeah. So we have chili on our menu.
Oh, okay.
Cooked with what beer is in it?
The blonde.
The blonde.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be good. But I mean, because the blondes are like, easy to drink and they're not like too bitter or anything like that. So I'm sure it adds like a different kind of profile to the chili.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another really fun thing is figuring out how we can incorporate the beer into the food.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Was there a craft beer? Because I know you said you went to like a homebrew club, but was there like a craft beer that kind of got you into like wanting to do something like that?
Yeah, I would say I had mentioned Widmer Hefeweizen. I was really into wheat beer. Not huge, like most beer drinkers, not huge into IPAs.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's an acquired taste. And so, I really loved wheat beers. I love fruited beers. One of my favorites that we made early on was a pomegranate wheat where my buddy at his parents' house had a pomegranate tree and juiced a bunch of pomegranates and threw it in secondary. And it was, fruity and kind of champagne-y, and it was really good. And our friends just loved that one.
Yeah.
And so we have a current kettle sour on that's called Palm Peaks that's inspired by that a little bit. I knew I wanted a pomegranate beer.
Yeah.
And we just did it in kettle sour form, and it's really nice and refreshing. But I kind of when I was getting into home brewing, it was in
2013.
Yeah, 12 or so.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was still a lot of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like a lot of true to style beer styles. Of
everything kind of be bitter.
Yes, and kind of more classic beer styles. So I think if I had to say that I was going to drink one beer for the rest of my life and I had to pick one, it would probably be Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Oh, it's a classic,
because it has a little bit of everything. And so that was my go-to for a really long time. And to be completely honest and transparent, our pale ale, Trailhead, which was the first beer that we made. Well, it's not the first beer we made, but it's the first beer we put on tap. And so we called it Trailhead to kind of symbolize like this is the beginning.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's very much inspired by Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
That's awesome.
So a little bit of homage to that, to one of my favorite beers of all time.
Oh, it's a classic. And I feel like there's so many people that I talk to, that's like the one that did it for them.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was one of the ones for me too. The first craft beer I ever had was a Double Bastard. And I'm like, this is not for me. I mean, but it was just because my palate palate wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
But eventually, like I grew to kind of like it. I said kind of like it. But it's even then, it's like I could tolerate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of crazy, like how your palate changes over the years and stuff like that. Because even for years, I was into sours, I was into hazies.
Yeah.
And now it's like, all right, well, I'm kind of into the more mellow stuff because I don't want to, I don't want to have too many of the other ones that are high ABV. And then I'm, got to make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. And I wonder too, as I age, a lot of my friends and the acquaintances that I have met in the brewing industry are kind of aging with me. And it's interesting how styles are evolving. And I would kind of consider myself as a bit not traditional in terms of like, purity law or anything like that, because I love all sorts of different experiments. But I do struggle sometimes with how style guidelines start to switch and merge and these new styles that are creating. And our West Coast IPA, PCH, is kind of a classic West Coast. It has a little bit of crystal malt in it, and a lot of brewers these days aren't putting crystal malt in West Coast. But that's when I started homebrewing, that's what it was. And so it's just really interesting, and it's exciting to be a part of the beer industry that's kind of always evolving and always changing. And
there's always a new trend.
Yes, there's always the new trend.
Yeah.
But it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and it's fun to figure out where I want to position myself in that trend.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, we're still brand new. Haven't even been open for a year yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about the future to come and how we can continue to push and develop and expand our beer program here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can only imagine how gratifying it is for obviously being being a married couple, obviously being here and having your family and just being able to see what this place has become, and even in less than a year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's been quite a journey though, this first year.
Yeah.
I mean, Kate and I came from healthcare and brewing. We have honestly, this is very new for us to run a restaurant and a brewery. And there has been some ups and downs along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Want to talk anything about that?
Sure. Yeah. I think it's interesting how you go into it with a vision. And like I said, we had thought about it for a long time. So we had a very clear picture in our head of how Campsite would look and feel and be.
Yeah.
And it's funny how many things had to go.
Yeah.
Or did not work.
Yeah.
And like Christian said, a lot of our inspiration came from Colorado breweries outside of California.
Yeah.
And we were a little naive, I think, to think that we could drop something that would work in Denver into San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
The model we originally started with, which was you order your food and beer at the bar and go have a seat and sit anywhere you like. There's no table service, anything like that. Very common at other breweries. It's all bar service.
Mm-hmm.
And we were very intentional with that because we really loved the guest-led experience.
Yeah.
We loved the brewery experience and part of that, being able to stay for hours short as long as you wanted and not having a server bug you and you have to ask for the check and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We really wanted a very casual experience. So that's what led us to that original service model of quick service, come order at the counter and go sit down.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about wanting to start Campsite, it was for sure about the craft beer, but it was also about the experience you had here.
Of course.
We really wanted to create an experience for people where they felt like they were camping.
Mm-hmm.
They were drinking really good craft beer. They were really relaxed. There's no TVs bugging you.
Yeah.
There's no server bugging you. You're really connected with each other.
You're in the moment.
You're in the moment.
That's awesome.
However, when we first opened, our opening weekend.
Our soft opening.
Open. So a soft open
Yeah.
is supposed to be where you have your training wheels on.
Yeah.
It's when you get to work out the kinks as a business.
Of course.
You get to train your staff. You get to see what works, what doesn't work. And you do that before you tell anybody that you're open so that you get to practice.
Yeah.
Well, we made a mistake and we sent out a newsletter to our 1,000
Yeah, we had less than
Email
1,000 like email lists that we had gained over our.
Yeah.
We thought thinking
say-
like, oh, it'll be exclusive, right?
Yeah.
They were supporting us. They had signed up for our email list. There was only 1,000 people, right?
Because also being in an industrial place, we thought, well, customers still have to come to the soft open, and they're not just going to like stumble upon Campsite.
Right.
So we have to tell some people to.
We were worried. How much do we tell? How much do we not tell?
Yeah.
So we sent it to like 1,000 people, thinking like over the course of a week, a couple hundred will trickle in.
Yeah.
It was thousands of people.
Damn.
They got our email like newsletter got posted on Facebook groups.
People
it just
screenshotted it.
exploded. And I think the anticipation was quite a lot. I mean, we had been building this place for 4 years, and we, were trying to kind of showcase what we were doing through the build process through social media. So I think a lot of people were kind of blown away by what we were trying to do.
That's cool.
And so, man, we just got obliterated.
I mean, trial by fire.
Yeah.
Talk about being pushed in the deep end.
Yeah.
And that is great. I mean, it was amazing and very special and so exciting to have people excited to be at our brewery. Like, it's so surreal.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't always the best guest experience for our customers because they had to wait hours to get in sometimes because we were at capacity. Their beer was getting lost. We were running out of food because we hadn't purchased enough food for
Yes.
Yeah.
The first few weekends we literally like went through all our inventory of food every day. So we had to
we were closing early because we were running out.
Wow.
And we had to get like and replenish and re-prep all the food for the very next day, and then we'd run out that day.
Wow.
And so we had to add we had to buy a bunch of refrigeration and freezers.
Refrigerators. Yeah.
Wow.
Our staff was getting nailed. They were so exhausted.
I bet.
We were like, can you stay a little longer? Like, please, like, we'll buy your meal. Like,
pretty please.
Yeah. Like, quickly, we were like, oh my God, we have to hire more people. We have to buy more chairs.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was good problems to have, but it was really challenging.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And when you talk about working out kinks, it's challenging to work out kinks with thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the problems we have then are different than the problems we have now because it's calmed down and now we have a normal guest flow. And so, but I do have to say, I do look back on that time and think about how fun it was.
Yeah.
Because we were all excited. Our management team, we work so well together. We really enjoy working with them. It was like very all hands on deck, everybody here long hours. And then after closing, we would pour a beer, get some fries and a Pizookie, and go sit on the deck and talk through what worked, what didn't work.
That's cool.
At like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's almost what's the expression? Is it flying on the seat of your pants?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you guys were just
And we've never owned a restaurant before, so it was very much like, we don't know what we're doing. We're just making this up as we go.
Especially coming from my background as kind of a do it yourselfer, we did a lot ourselves. Yeah, and I mean, I'm the head brewer, an owner, and a CEO. That's too much.
It's 3 jobs, and then probably a couple other jobs sprinkled in there too.
Yeah, so that's
we have 3 kids under 6.
Yeah, geez, yeah.
So it was a lot, and wow, we learned. Like Kate said, like trial by fire. And we learned so much. But it was really challenging to adapt as quickly as we needed to. And as quickly as the public and our guests needed us to.
Of course.
And so about 6 months into us being open, we through a few different factors, we decided to change our service model because we found that it wasn't quite translating how we wanted, and the guest experience wasn't quite what we wanted. I think, like Kate said earlier, we had this vision of what we thought our guests and our community wanted, but it was a brand new concept that no one had ever really seen or felt or been a part of. And so, and it's very important to us to support our community and our customer base. And so we knew that we had to make sure that it was the right choice. So we waited for about 6 months, and then we said, no, we're getting a lot of people that, because we were so busy in those original times, people would come with like a date, right? And they would go order their beer and go sit down. And the problem is, like, so the line's long. I got to get up. I got to leave my date to go back in line, or I got to bring my date, and then we lose our table. And so it didn't quite translate as we wanted. And it was really important to us to figure out, how do we still maintain that guest-led experience and not go straight back to a traditional restaurant service model.
In the brewery atmosphere. We're a brewery. That's what we wanted. We wanted to open a brewery that had a restaurant. Not be a restaurant that makes its own beer.
Yeah. And I think because we have such a strong culinary program with our Chef Junior, I think a lot of people saw us as a restaurant that makes its own beer, whereas we always saw ourselves as a brewery who makes our own food.
Okay.
And so we just had to kind of figure out how to pivot and change that. And so that's when we came up with the QR code ordering model.
Yeah.
Because we really still wanted that guest-led experience. So now when you come to Campsite, 9 times out of 10, it's open seating. We really only switch to like helping guests find a seat when we're at our peak capacity. But it's pretty much, you come, you show up. You can sit at any table, any fire pit, inside, outside, on the patio, anywhere. And there's a QR code on every table. You scan the QR code with your phone, and all our beers, all our food is there with pictures and descriptions. And you order and pay all on your phone. And then our team runs the beer out. Our team runs the food out. And so we felt like that was the best model to kind of accomplish everything that we were trying to accomplish. And we feel like we've gotten pretty good feedback, and I think a lot of people are liking it.
That's good.
But what we've really identified is, we can't make everybody happy. But it's just trying to make the most amount of people happy while still maintaining what we want out of the experience we want our guests to have.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think I want to talk about our one other thing we do that's different, that's not super typical in this area.
Mm-hmm.
It's our service charge.
Okay.
So we both have worked in hospitality before, and I think what a lot of people don't know is, legally in California, when you tip a waiter or a server, the tip only can go to them. The business cannot dictate where tips go.
Okay.
So it's a lot of places, it is the culture to share tips with like the back of house, the kitchen staff, the busters, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we can't mandate it.
And usually it's a very small percentage of the server's tips.
Oh, okay.
You'd tip out, like, when I worked at kind of an upscale restaurant as a waiter, you'd get maybe $200 in tips, and maybe tip the bartender out $40 and the kitchen staff maybe $20-$30. So it's really only 10% of your tips that you'd pass back to the kitchen.
And if we looked at it, we tried to be really calculated with it, and we looked at like, okay, how much does a server typically make, including tips, and how much does, say, a dishwasher make? And it's an astronomical difference how much servers typically can make with tips, but they can walk
more than
home
twice.
Yeah.
More than twice.
Yeah.
And that also translates to the brew team. So the people who make the food and the people who make the beer make an hourly wage that any brewery or restaurant owner will tell you, with our margins, you can only pay them so much.
Yeah.
Nobody gets really rich doing this.
Yeah.
And the people who make the most money are the servers. And like I said, it was important to us to make a business that was run a little differently. We feel like as business owners, you have the opportunity to really make an impact and live through your values.
Yeah.
So for us, we wanted to be employee focused, and we wanted to take care of all of our employees.
That's awesome.
And the way for us to legally do that was a service charge. So we do a service charge instead of a tip. It's an 18% added to your bill, your food and beer bill. It is optional. A guest is welcome to say, hey, I'd like to take that taken off. But the service charge goes to us, and then we get to decide how it's distributed, and 100% of it goes to our staff.
That's awesome.
And we distribute it to the servers, the kitchen staff, and our brewers. So it's essentially everybody on the team gets a portion of the sales.
That's really cool that you
And
guys do that.
our big goal there was to make it more equal.
Yeah.
Of course.
We kind of felt that the way that California does its tipping is it's not fair. And honestly, it's not fair. It's not equal. That we really found that, like, how can brewer who is working with chemicals and temperature and hot environments and lifting kegs and doing all this stuff, how is a human who's working at the hardest they can work, and a cook who's like flipping burgers and frying fries and just, it's 120 degrees on the cook line, like, and then nothing against servers, but then the person who pours your beer and walks it out to you gets twice as much money because that's the person who walked it out to you. That doesn't really make sense to us. And we really wanted to support all our staff. And through this whole process and hiring our kitchen staff, most kitchen staff come having 2-3 jobs. Whereas about maybe half our kitchen staff, this is their only job, because we are actually able to share some of that tips with them so they don't have to go get 2 jobs. And,
that's cool.
And
yeah, and I think it's hard for a lot of our customers. They don't understand it. They see it as mandatory tipping, which we totally understand. It's been hard to get our message across that it's not mandatory. You can remove it. Even with the QR code, you can ask a server and they'll remove it for you. But it is just our way of doing things a little differently. It's not uncommon. It's just uncommon in this area. And
it's new, and change and new things are challenging and confusing. And
but you want to support the people that are working their tails off. You know, and be able to, whether it's the brewers, the people in the back, because being on a cook line, I'm sure it's like, crazy back there.
And none of it goes to Campsite. It's all distributed to our staff.
That's
and so
awesome.
I think a lot of people feel fearful that it goes to the company. Some restaurants do that. The service charge does go to ownership. It kind of puts a bad taste in customers' mouths. That is not our intent. Our intent was like, how can we get creative?
And we also really, it was our intention to be very transparent about it too. There's a lot of ways where us as owners could have figured out how to essentially get that money from our customers and funnel it to our employees. And a lot of people criticize us for, like, well, why don't you just increase your prices? And we thought, sure, we could charge 18% more on all our prices and do a 0 tipping model. But then a lot of people have issues with not tipping, and they want to tip on top of that. So then people would be tipping 40%. Because they'd be tipping 20 and then 20, or 18 and 18. So we thought, like, hey, let's put a big thing that says service charge and try to explain it so that we could have competitive pricing, and we're not trying to hide this service charge anywhere. We're putting it right on the tab, and
that also, we felt like, is more transparent than bearing it in the prices.
That's good.
One of our values is transparency. And so we really wanted to be totally upfront with our customers and say, hey, this is this thing we're trying.
That's awesome.
If you'd like to do it with us. But I think in the beginning, with really long lines, not as great service, because we didn't have enough staff and we had really too many people here. And then the service charge, it was hard on a lot of customers.
I bet.
And we had to ask ourselves, what can we do to change, and what is too important to us in our value system? And we went into this wanting to do what's best for our community and do what's best for our campsite community.
And our family, our employees that are so quickly becoming our family.
So the service charge stayed, and we just wanted to create an environment where the guests felt more taken care of, which is why the QR code helps, because they get more service, and then make the guest experience better, but still do what's important to us, which is taking care of our staff.
That's good. I mean, I think the QR code model works too, because you don't have to, like you said earlier, like not feeling pressured by, somebody like, oh, you can go whenever you want kind of thing, But, I feel like in restaurants, they come drop it off for a reason. But I think that's really cool that you guys do that. Like, for everybody and not just, like servers and stuff like that. So that's cool.
Thanks.
But
Yeah.
we mean what we say. We really wanted to create a fun atmosphere where you could pretty much stay as long as you want.
Yeah.
And people
And we
people
do.
stay for like an hour. Like they like post up, they come on a Sunday morning with their kids and they hang for the day, which
that's cool.
Honestly is so cool for us to see because that's kind of what we created.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
Like with the camping kind of thing, like everybody around the fire doing all that sort of
Take
thing.
your
That's
time.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you mind if we grab one more beer?
Yeah, sure.
Sweet.
What would you like?
All right, and we're back. I got the PCH. I'm excited to try this one. I did have your West Coast Pilsner earlier, and that was delightful.
Awesome. Glad you liked it.
So good. I'm going to jump into this one. But somebody, what are your kind of favorite styles to brew?
So starting kind of broad and narrowing our way down and in, I would say IPAs and sours. Those are kind of my two favorites. I really kind of like the science of sours and I'm a fan of clean fermentation.
Okay.
So we brew almost exclusively American style beer. And I know that American style beer came from other beer styles.
Yeah.
But I really, being on the West Coast, I really like West Coast style beer. So So I really like West Coast IPAs. I think they're really fun to make, and that balance between malt and hops is exciting to play with and to kind of balance. And then I really like hazy IPAs.
Okay.
Kind of when those started kicking off, I was a little hesitant in the beginning.
Yeah.
But when I kind of started having a few of them, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
They just taste so good.
Yeah.
They just taste so good. And it's all that yummy hop aroma and flavor with not a lot of that punch in your face bitterness. So yeah, I would say hazies and kind of what you can do with biotransformation hops. And I love, one of my favorite things is handing someone a hazy and saying, wow, what fruit did you put in this?
Yeah.
And it's like, nope, nothing. That's all
fruit.
hops and yeast and
maybe some oats.
Yeah. So that's really fun. But this kind of the science and chemistry behind sours is really interesting. We actually have a kettle sour going in the kettle right now.
Oh, nice.
And it's just really, it's really neat and fun, and to be able to play with different acidity levels and the sours that we do here so far are all fruited sours. So kind of figuring out what fruits go well with them and flavors. And I love the combination of kind of sweet and sour.
Okay.
And I'm really excited to also kind of push forward our barrel program. We have, what was really neat about our location in this old packing house is we have a basement.
Oh,
it's
wow.
the same square footage as the upper. So we have 4,000 square feet of basement space where we turned it into offices and an employee break room and our big walk-in refrigerators down there. But we have a small event space down there called our barrel room. So we have a couple bourbon barrels down there.
Oh, nice.
And for our anniversary party that's coming up on May 18th.
Okay.
Which we'd love to kind of put a plug in there for.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'll do that because this episode will be out in I think 3 weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
So
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
So we're throwing a big parking lot event where we're bringing all the kitchen crew out of the kitchen and we're cooking all our food out in the parking lot.
That's cool.
And we're going to have multiple pour stations out there and just kind of have music and just trying to showcase what Campsite's all about. And we're adding, our target is 10, but we might get more additional beers on tap, kind of spread out throughout. So, and one of the big things we're excited about is our first bourbon barrel-aged release.
Okay.
So we have a bourbon barrel-aged stout that we're planning to release on the anniversary day.
Yeah. Are you going to bottle
beer, right?
First ever bourbon barrel-aged beer. Yeah.
Nice. Are you going to bottle it?
We are.
Okay, because I know those, like, anything bourbon barrel-aged, those fly off the shelf.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So we're really excited about that. But I feel like it's been less than a year. I feel like I still have so much to grow and much room to develop our beer program. And we haven't even touched the surface of distribution or anything. It's all in-house right now. So we're really excited about the future and what holds for us, and hopefully
Yeah.
win some medals. We submitted some beers to GABF this
Okay.
year and
Nice.
got to the final round, but didn't get any medals. And we submitted some beers to World Beer Cup coming up soon.
Yeah,
So,
Vegas, right?
yeah, fingers crossed. We're
There
going
you
to
go.
CBC in Vegas.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I'm really excited about where the beer program will take us.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
One thing when I love talking to brewers is like, it's never good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and to me,
Yeah.
that's what this show is about for me too. It's like I may have a phenomenal episode, at least in my eyes, it'll be a great episode, and people sometimes will be like, "Hey, it was a great episode," whatever. But it's never good enough. Like, I want it to be better, and that's
Yeah.
why I love like a brewer's mentality, because it's not. If you're getting complacent, like you're not growing anymore.
Yes. Always pushing. One of our big core values is excellence, and to
Yeah.
me, that's right. Continuing to push the envelope and continuing to learn, grow, be better
Yeah.
at what we do.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. It's about growing and just wanting to make better beer or make better product,
Yeah.
but also make something out there or put something out there that the world's gonna love too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's so cool. That's awesome. Do you like craft? I'm assuming you like craft beer, Kate.
I do.
Well, what are your favorite kind of styles you like to drink?
This is a cheating answer because it's almost everybody's answer at Campsite, but our Honu Hazy
Okay,
is one of my favorites. It's
Nice.
just so good. It's tasty. It's juicy. The can is beautiful.
Yeah.
So we always have a 4-pack at home in our fridge.
there you go.
Yeah, but I like to try everything the guys make.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you when you guys would go camping? So it was like you said it would be like your hefts and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Was that kind of got you into the beer scene, or were you into beer before that?
No, I think it was getting into beer with them. I mean, I would go with them when they would brew, and
She would help us bottle some.
Oh, that's awesome.
But anybody who's homebrewed knows that bottling is so labor intensive. So sometimes I would be like, "Oh my gosh, are we really? That's how we're spending our
Yeah.
weekend
Yeah.
is bottling beer."
Isn't it crazy though too? Even like the canning stuff now, like you can buy like a smaller canning lines, but like before you had to buy like even going back to like 2010 probably, and before that, like if you wanted to can your stuff, it had to be like the ass thing that Coke and Pepsi would use. This isn't a Coke sponsored episode or anything like that. So, but yeah, something like that. Like it's kind of like it's crazy now. They have they make these smaller canning lines to be able to do that.
Yep.
It's crazy how far the industry's come.
Yes. And just that, right, continuing to push and develop and evolve.
Yeah. And, there's all these, there's always something new happening, and there's all the different trends.
It's kind of funny though. Our most recent pregnancy with our youngest child very similarly correlated with how long we've been open.
Okay.
So Kate actually, until very recently, till 2 months ago, hasn't really been able to have much
true.
of our
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah, we found out we were pregnant with our third a month after we opened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So to be honest, I had like the first 10 beers.
Yeah.
And then now that I can drink again, we're like have like 24 on the board.
Uh,
I
You're
missed a
playing
few
catch-up.
in the middle. Yeah.
Playing a lot of catch up.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know. I just feel like it's like what you guys are doing right now. And obviously this PCH is really good.
Thank you.
And I love like that golden, obviously hue to it, but
It's kind of a, I mean, I don't know what you can, it's a more traditional West Coast.
I was going to say like a throwback.
Yeah.
But that's really good. It's super smooth, and I love the lacing on the edges staying there.
Yeah.
I love craft beer, but I love hearing people's stories behind it, and it makes the beer that much better.
Yeah.
Because you want to support people like you guys. Like everything you had to go through to get even like, and you also hear, people say that like, because everybody always had a job before they decided, hey, I want to do this instead. And for you guys to be willing and having that support system, to be willing to chase your dream. I mean, that's what this is all about.
Yeah, it really is. And I think it's neat. I think that's why craft beer has grown so much, is because you can come to a place like Campsite. You can walk up the ramp here. You can peer in these giant windows we put into the brew house.
Yeah.
So that you can see myself and our two brewers.
Yeah, all the behind the
putting
scenes.
in the blood, sweat, and tears to to, hand make this beverage for you that, when you're looking at it, like has more of a soul than just some big factory just pumping out beer.
For sure.
And yeah, we just want that to translate. We just want to make really good beer, the best beer we can make, and just make everybody happy and enjoy it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of grit in the craft beer industry.
Oh, yeah.
Because to open a brewery takes a lot.
Oh, for sure.
And any craft brewery has had some trials to get open because there's a lot of obstacles, like with the city and all the equipment, and it requires a lot of funding.
Yeah.
So to get to the point of being open, you really feel the love in it because people have had to overcome a lot of barriers.
100%.
And I think that's what we love about the industry is it's the passion. Like you feel it. And pretty much any craft brewery you go to, you can see the passion. You can see what they value. You can get a feel for who makes the beer there by the kind of beer they make and the quality of it and the environment they've created there.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I was going to ask, like, what do you guys love about the industry? But I mean, that's like, and I also love like the everybody willing to help.
Yeah.
And you'll get friends and family to, like, because you're a DIY guy, like you were saying, like sometimes you need friends and family, like, hey, could you do drywall or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, my dad and I, we really feel like we kind of built this brewery with our bare hands because
awesome.
We were the first people here. This was an old, essentially like an animal wholesale feed warehouse.
Oh, wow.
And my dad and I did a bunch of the demo just by ourselves. We were just here knocking out wood and we really kind of felt like we put our blood, sweat, and tears into it.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I think the brewing industry as a whole, the camaraderie, the just the willingness to help and is tremendous and nothing like I've ever experienced in any other industry I've been in. I mean, to be honest, this was new and it's challenging running a brewery and managing production on a brand new facility, especially one where, a lot of breweries kind of start smaller and work their way up, where we kind of took a big leap and kind of went all in and started with our 7-barrel system and started with this big restaurant that we needed to make sure we had enough beer. And through the past 10 months, it's hard to stay on top of inventory and enough grain, and so I'd be calling Claremont Craft Ales and Arrow Lodge, be like, guys, do you have an extra bag of this, or we're short this? And everyone has been so helpful and so supportive, and it's been amazing.
And both great breweries. I love Claremont because you guys would be able, because you mentioned being from Claremont. They had was it Pepper and Peaches recently?
Yeah.
Oh, that was that was good. And it won a medal, I think, at the Brewers Cup, right?
Yeah. It did. Yeah.
Yeah. When we started homebrewing, we lived across the street from Claremont Craft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was really our first craft brewery, to be honest, that we went to.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a starter brewery. That was really what we would go there on weekends for the food truck and the beers, and they have a great vibe. So that really honestly sparked the I want to do this. Yeah. This is fun.
It's kind of funny. I tried to work there twice.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What were you trying to do there?
Well, the first job before I got hired at Dale Brothers, they were hiring a delivery driver.
Oh, okay.
And I sat down with them, and actually a really good business lesson that I learned from them is they said, we love you. We think you would be a great delivery driver, but we know that you want to be a brewer. And so we're not going to hire you for a delivery driver position to then just lose you a delivery driver to try to make you a brewer. So come back and apply when there's a brewer position. And I was like, damn it. Yeah. I just want my foot in the door. So that's how I ended up at Dale Brothers. And then, so it's just kind of funny how everything kind of comes
we use that principle now.
We do. Yes.
Because when people are interested in working in the brewery, we're like, okay, well, what's your goal?
Yeah.
Because we want to hire people who are interested in growing in the industry, not just doing it for
But
fun.
you also you want people that want to chase something. They want to they're willing to, chase their dreams like you guys were.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that we've learned is not necessarily, I mean, obviously experience is a big part of it, but but hiring for drive, determination, and character.
Oh, 100%.
Because there's a lot of what we do on the brewing side and even in the front of the house that if you have the right mentality and drive, you can teach anybody anything.
Yeah.
I like to joke that like you could teach a monkey how to operate the brew house if it's an automated brew house, right? Like there's just all you have to do is certain temperatures at certain times, but it's that charisma, it's that character, it's that dedication, attention to detail that really sets an employee apart.
Like that wanting kind of more. And that's cool. I mean, it's cool that you guys do that because corporate America, not a lot of, they just want another number.
Yeah.
You know, and for you guys to care so much about that aspect of it and obviously the employees you already have. I mean, to me, that's cool as shit. Like, I mean, because not like, you know, there aren't a lot of people, not a lot of companies, I should say, are out there that are willing to do that. They're like, oh, you want to be a server? You want to be a beer tender? Go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
And one thing I love too is that, you know, when you go to a brewery is like beer education and the beer knowledge and like, you know, talking to a beer tender because we had mentioned before, like you're able to serve wine and cider.
Yeah.
You want to be able to cater to different groups. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be, but then also like you may be able to get them in with your wine, but then they may find their gateway drug in the craft beer.
Yes, exactly.
And, you know, be able to find stuff like that. And like, it's not every brewery has that. Sometimes it's like, oh, like, you know, because you will get people like, and I've been in breweries where I've heard people say this and I'm like, oh, like, what do you have that's like Modelo?
Yeah.
Or what do you have that's like this? Or, you know, something like that. But then they try one.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I'm going to go back and have that again. And then they come back, you know, I'm going to try something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of guide them along their way, I just feel like that's really cool. Like,
yeah. And I feel like that's how most people's stories with craft beer is like, I tried Blue Moon. I tried it's like the exploratory journey of, and how your palate develops and how you like start to kind of like work your way up.
Oh yeah.
Crave more and more face punching bitterness. Like,
and then it's like, it's that palate development.
Yeah.
But do you remember Pyramid?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like my go-to when I was a kid. I was like 16, 17. I wasn't supposed to be drinking, but you know, it happens.
Yeah.
But Pyramid Hef was my go-to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My buddy Devin has a surfboard. Pyramid.
Oh, does he? Oh, that's awesome.
In our original garage that we were brewing in.
Oh, that's good. You said that was in Palos Verdes?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever surf or anything like that too, or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wasn't a big surfer, but just happened to live there.
Yeah. No, I used to surf as a kid.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah, I used to surf I haven't surfed in probably like 10 years. So if I got up, I'd probably eat it so hard.
Yeah.
What do you like? Because one thing I was like to ask, actually, no, this might be the first time I've ever asked a brewer, like, what kind of trend do you do? Or do you see another trend coming? Because I know there was like the haze craze. They call it like the summer of seltzers and stuff like that. And
that's a great question. I don't necessarily see some like big looming craze about to boom.
Yeah.
I do still think I think the two that we're still in are I think seltzers are still big.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's really cool that craft breweries can make their own seltzers and then flavor them in so many different ways. I think it's just another vessel for creativity.
Yeah, they're almost making them like craft cocktails.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that is the next segue of the seltzer craze is how breweries are trying to diversify themselves to be more competitive with bars and all these things, but still holding on to that craft and that house homemade quality. And that's actually something that, another little shameless plug, that we're working towards pushing. So at our anniversary party, we have our barrel room. It's our event space. It's downstairs. It holds about 25 people. It's very kind of intimate and exciting. And
that's cool.
Our plan for the end of this year is to kind of transform that into a speakeasy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
like
so
that.
we want to do a craft seltzer program and almost treat it kind of like a little mini bar, but it's made with all our seltzer base and fermented spirits. So we're really excited about that, and we're kind of debuting some of our craft cocktails at our anniversary party. So if anyone wants to,
You got to make like a door with like that looks like there's a
we'll show
bookshelf
you.
there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We'll show you. We'll give you a tour.
I'm
It's
so
going to be
down.
pretty neat down there. So I do think that craft cocktails are a big expanding area, and I think in terms of the most amount of growth, we'll probably see quite a bit there.
Oh yeah,
and then also craft lagers. It's been kind of on the boom recently.
Lagers and pilsners are coming back.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy about
yes.
it. Because,
and it's actually
so
interesting because it's funny, as I was mentioning earlier, like the brewers and the people in the brew community that I've kind of grown with as a brewer, I'm now approaching my 40s. We're all kind of looking at it like, man, I can't drink like the big heavy IPAs that we used to drink.
I feel you.
Man, I want to be able to drink more than just one beer. So I feel like all the brewers are kind of like, oh, those lagers are really nice because I can drink more of them, and they're so nuanced and like. So I think, I don't know if that's just like the generation of brewer I'm in is kind of going that way, but I think that's fun and exciting, and I think that's really kind of comparing apples to apples what craft brewers can do with big brewers.
Oh yeah,
and it's really exciting.
And I feel like because I feel like with Stone way back when, and I'm sure that they kind of had to do it that way, but they would always put on the thing like fizzy yellow beers for wussies.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's so like the way it's done now, and the way people, like the way brewers are doing it, like even like your West Coast Pilsner was phenomenal, and I can't wait to try one of your other Pilsners. But like, it's completely different. Like, and people think you're only going to get a certain like profile from it, or it has to be like taste like one of the big boys.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, if it's done right and it's done really well, then I mean it's gonna fly up the shelves too, because I've always felt like that's like the Pilsners and lagers are the brewer's beer.
Yeah. We joke that like, oh yes, we have a new shifty. Like, this is our new shifty beer.
Nice.
Our Mexican lager with lime. It's called Sabor del Sol.
Okay.
So the brewers hand zest 150 limes.
Oh, damn.
Into each batch. And you really taste it. And it is comparable to a Corona with lime, but way better.
Yeah.
Because it's hand brewed and handcrafted. And I mean, talk about the gateway beer.
Oh, yeah.
For beer drinkers who are traditionally drinking the Coronas, Coors, the Modelo's, when they come in and they're like not into craft beer, it's like, well, try this beer and tell me after.
And that was important to me. Is a lot of people ask like, well, what kind of beers do we brew? And we literally brew almost one of everything. Yeah. Sticking to kind of exclusively American style beer.
Yeah.
We've got a few amount of people asking us for Belgians, but it's just not, I don't really like Belgians. So it's one of the perks of owning your own brewery. You don't got to brew anything you don't want to brew.
Yeah,
so.
I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, I like some Belgians, but I just don't drink them enough.
There's a time and a place, but I ain't going to.
Even like wild ales. I do like some wild ales, but I mean, like, I actually have one that it's been sitting in my fridge for a while that I'm going to crack open today with my brother. So
nice.
I'm excited.
But we really wanted a little bit of everything.
Yeah, of course.
But to also kind of elevate it. I mean, I knew going into it that like browns don't really sell well. Like, but so what can we do to our brown to make it interesting and exciting and craft? And so we infused it with espresso and coconut, and now we have this really unique, exciting brown that's so complex, and it's got layers of coconut and coffee, and
it's very popular.
A lot of people love it, and
that's awesome.
So it was it was the first brown recipe that we came up with, and it hasn't left since, because why change that? I mean, we eventually will, because that was one of my big goals in terms of kind of building and developing the brew program that I wanted. We could have put a 15-barrel system in and with a few fermenters and just started to pump out some core styles. But I really wanted to brew new beers, rotating taps, experimental stuff, kind of, which this first year has been a bit more of like just building up our board and getting all those beers on draft. I mean, when we first opened, I think we had 6 or 8 beers, and now we have 22 beers on draft. And
That's awesome.
so now that we've kind of built that up in our first year, we're going to start going through and kind of rotating and seeing like, okay, what kind of new styles can we do here and there? But we really wanted something for everybody. So we have lagers, we have wheat, we have blonde, we have sour, we have a couple fruited beers, we have a brown, we have a stout. We kind of have a little bit of everything to really appeal to the most amount of people as we could.
That's awesome. I mean, and that's you need to be like, because there were, I mean, at least way back when there was breweries that weren't like willing to like, oh, I don't like this style, I'm not going to brew it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you have to have all that, you have to be able to have everything, or at least not everything, but different things on the menu to accommodate for different people. And like I mentioned earlier, it's cool that you guys have wine and cider too.
Yeah.
So one thing I would love to ask before we finish, I have a couple other things I want to ask, but one more thing, do you guys have like, when it was getting crazy, when you guys first opened, because like, the mailing list and all that sort of stuff, did you guys have any fun taproom stories when that was going on? Or interesting? They don't have to be funny, but they could be interesting. Or any type of taproom story, really.
I'm trying to think of a specific. It's a great question.
Yeah, it is a good question. I mean, the opening kind of is our crazy taproom
I guess.
story.
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
yeah. Go ahead.
there was like I don't remember if it was the day before our grand opening, before we really figured out that the crowds were a problem.
Yeah.
This sounds silly, but it took us a minute to realize we can control the crowds because we were so in it that we were just going through the motions trying to serve everybody.
Yeah, and trying to accommodate, right? Like, oh my God, all these people are here. Like, how do we take care of them?
So, the kitchen is swamped. The bar is swamped. The kitchen is like we need to close. We need to close.
Yeah. We're out of food.
Yeah. And there's people like sitting on the walls, like sitting on the stairs, just like with nowhere to go. And it wasn't until like midnight that night we were like, maybe we need to control the flow into Campsite so that we aren't overwhelmed and the food does come out on time and the beer does get delivered cold and isn't just getting lost. So it's kind of funny the things that are now common sense and honestly not a problem. I mean, we still hear from people like, oh yeah, I went to you guys in the beginning, but I don't want to deal with the crowds.
Yeah, I haven't been back since because you guys were so busy.
Yeah. Come on back. Water's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Line since a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just mayhem.
Oh,
I think that's really what it came down to. And our team like really grinded it out. And I mean, we're so grateful for the team we had and everyone who put in the extra time and effort in that beginning. And like we said, sitting debriefing at, 2:30 in the morning, to figure out like, oh my God, how can we allocate the resources we have to try to make the next service as best as we can with what we have.
Yeah. I honestly think that might be the coolest part of it for me. The sitting outside at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Having a beer and thinking like, man, like, well, because obviously you guys were killing it right off the bat, but like being able to say like, hey man, how could we?
Yeah,
it's even then like because you guys could have said like, oh, just get more staff or whatever, like or to do this or do that, but you were just like you guys were willing to you guys wanted to have the best experience ever for the customer and stuff like that, and how to make it better for them. So.
Yeah, and we're so lucky. I mean, our general manager, Jonathan, is very experienced in the craft beer industry and hospitality. Our chef junior is an exemplary state-of-the-art chef. We're not really sure how we nailed it.
He's classically like
French trained.
Oh, wow.
Extremely professional, creative. And so we came in with our experience in the medical field, working as brewers. Christian poured in Taproom. We worked in restaurants, but it's a lot different running a restaurant.
Yeah.
So all of us coming together, the collaboration was so fulfilling. I mean,
I bet.
Those are my favorite memories is 2 a.m. eating cashews, drinking beer.
Cashews are great. Cashews and beer, honestly, I think they're better than peanuts.
Amen. And then I mean, to be honest, I think our medical experience helped us because it was triage. It was.
Oh yeah,
It was
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like having to deal with like the influx of like patients and stuff like that. I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, my background's critical care, so it was like, it was like, what's our who's
Kate's like, this is just a Tuesday night.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like where are we bleeding? Where are we hemorrhaging? And how do we stop the bleeding?
Yeah,
but it was so fun. I mean, it was stressful. Like I can remember some moments of tension, and then we work through it, and now it's nothing. I mean,
isn't that crazy though? Like you guys both being in that field, and I mean, and like how having to deal with that kind of stuff on a daily basis, and then you come into this, and it's like you're putting out the bleeding, but you're putting out the bleeding and doing something different.
Yeah, it is different.
And that's that's pretty cool because there's like you're used to that. That fast pace kind of, because if you're a nurse, like you have to be, or a paramedic, you have to get there as quick as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're a nurse, you have to, I'm not going to pretend to know medical terms, but you have to do something to be able to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's pretty damn cool. And like, I've never had anyone on the show that's had that kind of background, and to be able to hear what you guys did and to go from that to this. And I think that's pretty badass.
I think it translates to hospitality. I mean, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Except it's easier because when somebody's having a hard time, you just buy them a beer.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, sorry.
Yeah.
Here, have a beer.
And then boom, everyone's happy.
Yeah. And we're good.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more easy way outs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a couple more things.
Yeah.
One thing I was love to ask is, but I know you guys have a full kitchen too. Do you guys ever do like brunch or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when we first opened, we tried to keep it simple, but then only a few months after we opened, we rolled out on Saturday and Sunday. We have brunch. So we normally open at 11 for lunch.
Okay.
But on Saturday and Sunday, we open at 9 a.m.
Okay.
We have a different brunch menu till 2.
Yeah.
And the brunch menu is pretty phenomenal.
Awesome.
I mean, all of our menus, we try to rotate. We try to do some specials every month and some new stuff. But I mean, the amount of attention to detail that Chef Junior put into our brunch menu, I mean,
that's cool.
We have these amazing toasts where he hand makes the ricotta cheese, and
oh wow,
yeah, it's pretty next level. And
he just started a breakfast sandwich where it's house-made sausage, eggs, bacon on a ciabatta.
All right. Well, you got my money. So,
It's bomb. And we have these new hash brown rings that are really good.
Oh, dang. Are they like onion rings, but hash browns?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Kind
there
of,
you go.
yeah.
We'll just throw it on my sandwich.
Yeah. So I think that's
That's
part
cool.
of what we're trying to do. We're trying to kind of continuously evolve and update our beer program and our food program. And one of the other things we really want to try to do and grow and develop is our beer pairing dinners.
Yeah.
We have this really neat, intimate space down in the barrel room, and we have what we call our shed, which is the metal corrugated building right here.
Mhm.
It's our kind of flexible use space that we can do. You can rent the whole thing out for 100 people, but we're trying to do more fun culinary and brew things together. So I think we've done 2 now beer pairing dinners where Chef Junior has created like a really fancy 4-course meal, and we pair beers with every course, and it's gotten some pretty good feedback. But we're just really excited about kind of all our opportunities to grow and expand. But
That's awesome.
that's one of them that we're really excited about. Is not a lot of places have the opportunity to have a kitchen and a brewery and be able to bring those two together in a more upscale environment than a lot of other breweries can do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So it's a kind of it's a fun experience. And one of the other things that we're really excited about to continually expand, which we didn't open with in the beginning, is our events program. So we have 2 event spaces downstairs in the barrel room and in the shed that, we can have big parties and you can have a private space, and it's really neat. So that's something that we're really trying to push and grow into this year too.
That's awesome. Because so you guys have the anniversary coming up, but Kate had mentioned to me off air a little bit. You guys do paint nights and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, we're constantly trying to fill our weeknights and weekends. We have music now. We have live music on Fridays and Saturdays.
Oh, awesome.
We're trying to fill that more and more as we come into our peak season. We have paint nights. We have trivia on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
We're going to start.
Speaking of trivia, Geeks Who Drink.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And you mentioned us on the last podcast.
Yep.
We're like, sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have that every Wednesday. We are now alternating between, on Thursdays, we're going to have karaoke. We're going to have comedy night.
Okay.
So we're trying to do fun things to bring people out. And
that's awesome.
And just kind of, that's part of what we wanted, is just to create a spot for the community to come out and enjoy. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do either one of you guys do karaoke? I was curious.
Well, Kate's pretty decent at it.
All right.
Oh, that's nice of you. We did it. We had it at our staff Christmas party.
Oh, that was a blast.
And
fun.
What did you sing? Okay.
Oh, In Sync. Bye.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
okay.
a 90s baby.
Okay. I always do it's usually John Bond, like Living on a Prayer. Is
Fun.
go
So
to.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple staff that get really into it, and
Awesome.
It brings me nothing but pure joy to
That's great.
see everybody coming together. And we have 2 DJs on staff.
We do. We
There you
have
go.
one of our cooks is a DJ and one of our brewers is a DJ.
Awesome.
So it was really fun
Yeah.
to have them collaborate at our Christmas party.
That's
Yeah.
pretty damn
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's all right. Do you guys have any other events coming up after? Well, because the anniversary is May 18th. You said, right?
May 18th is the anniversary.
Yep, tickets are on
Um,
sale on our website.
mhm.
It's like a lot of breweries. You get a taster glass. You get to taste up to 30 beers on tap and try our food and really explore all of Campsite.
Love it.
We'll
Yeah.
have pouring stations throughout the whole property. So in the parking lot, in the campground,
Okay.
you can go down to the barrel room, which is normally closed, so guests can really explore all of Campsite.
That's cool.
We're a sucker for a theme. So our
Okay.
theme is mile 1, because the journey's just beginning.
Yeah.
So guests can kind of explore
That's awesome.
the journey of
Mhm.
Campsite. Yes, that's May 18th. And what else do we have going on? We got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we kind of have all the normal holiday events. Cinco
Okay.
de Mayo, we're doing an event, and
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, we're kind of
A
doing
nice
a special
brunch.
brunch
Nice.
A
for
mimosa
mothers.
flight.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we're just trying to fill it in. And later in the summer, we want to do like a fun kind of summer camp themed event.
That's cool.
Because, growing up camping and going to camps,
Yeah.
Summer camp is a big kind of fun outdoor vibe. And
Yeah.
so we want to do an adult beer focused
That's
summer
awesome.
camp. So there'll be more to come on that.
Mhm.
Okay.
But we're excited. We're excited about just events and just growing and figuring out what works for us and how to just continually improve and grow.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned summer camp, the first thing I thought of was, if you guys remember the movie Heavyweights,
Yes.
one of my favorites.
Oh,
If I could have a big blob for us.
That would be pretty
Go
awesome.
karts in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Little Mario Kart.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
There
Yeah.
you go. But this has been super fun for me. And I really appreciate you guys letting me come down and talk to you guys and, pick your brains a little bit and hear your story and how much you guys, truly care about not just your staff, but the product, the building, everything. I mean, I feel like that's sometimes you don't necessarily get that, but I mean, I feel like from you guys, it's fully transparent and it shows, 1000% how much you care about your brand and, the people behind it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming out and interviewing us and giving us the opportunity to share our story. And,
Oh yeah.
We love to talk about Campsite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
really
our
special to do it on
it's our baby.
podcast.
We say we have 4 kids, and this is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But we're super happy with the family we've created, and we're just very grateful for all of our staff and family who have supported us through this journey, and that we've supported each other through the journey. And so we're just very, very grateful for the people that have helped us get this far. So
That's
I wanted to
awesome.
say thank you to all of them.
Of course. All right. Well, thank you guys again for being on the show. I'll tell you about that after. We went over everything. I'm gonna have to cut this part out. Either way, it's fine. But thank you guys again. I really appreciate Kate, Christian, and make sure you guys come down. So it's off of Front Street and
In between Citrus and Barranca on Front Street in
there we
Covina.
go. And trust me, if you're driving by, you will not miss it. It's a, looks like a big old log cabin with some kick-ass siding on the side. So make sure you stop by, grab a beer, grab some food, maybe come down for brunch on a Sunday if you're in a brunch. But make sure you come to work. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, Tap Fam.
My name's Rachel. I'm the lead beer tender here. I would say my favorite beer on the menu is the Cold Front IPA. And my favorite thing about being here is definitely the staff. We're a big family. We all get along. We all work really hard together.
My name's Nate. My favorite beer at Campsite is Cold Front and everything else.
So my name is Will. One of my favorite beers here is the Firewatch. I love reds. I like the bite at the end and the bold flavors, but it doesn't overpower your palate. And so that's why I like it. It's a bold flavor with a small bite at the end, and it's still good enough to keep drinking. Doesn't feel overwhelming or nothing like that. So that's one of my favorite beers. That's a family. Everybody works together. It's a good management atmosphere, good co-worker atmosphere. Just overall, it's great atmosphere. I haven't worked a job that I like this in a minute. So it's just been amazing. Food, everything's been good. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Daniel Ceballos. I'm over here at Campsite Brewery. I'm the pastry chef. And my two favorite beers, if I had to say which ones, it would be the Covina Citrus and what else do we have? The Boysenberry Blast. Yeah. Delicious. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sierra. My favorite beer currently is the Equator Equinox, our tropical IPA. And what I love working about Campsite is our values and the team that we have behind it.
Good morning, campers. I am Camper Eileen. My favorite beer here at Campsite will be the Tropical IPA. And I love working here because of the fact that we're here at Campsite.
How you doing? My name is Chef Junior Perez. I'm the executive chef here at Campsite Brewing Company. Just a little bit about the owners itself. I think Kate and Christian are excellent people, some of the best people that I have the pleasure of working for. They really care about the employees, very down to earth, and it's a great ambience that they build here. Okay? Give you guys a little about my background. I've worked with Chef Joe Robuchon. I worked with him in Le Grand and Saint Germain. I worked with him in Paris also. I was one of his opening chefs in Macau, Hong Kong. Okay. And then here in the States, I worked with Celestino Drago, which is one of the best Italian chefs in LA. I was lucky to work with them also in Sicily or for a couple of his restaurants and his bakeries. And yeah, I was lucky enough to find Kate and Christian, and then they offered me the opportunity. So I took it. I mean, you look at this place and it's magnificent, right? It's beautiful. Yeah. This is my brewery in my career that I've ever done. My first brewery. I have never done a brewery. So I was always up for the challenge, and I think we're doing pretty well. Oh yeah. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite beer? Yes. And my favorite beer is the Covina Citrus. Phenomenal.
So I guess when we found out, my name is Adrian. I'm here with my friends, my wife, Erica, my friend Lynette and Julio, and my two kids, twins. We found out about this place because we were actually just kind of hanging out around the area, and we were kind of looking for a spot that was family friendly with kids, that had good beer, good ambiance, good vibe, and we saw this place and took a chance on it. And hey, this was a few months ago, and since then we've been here like 3-4 times. So I can't complain. The space is really big. There's different areas that you can kind of hang out at. It's a good place for big groups of people. So, and pretty good food. I mean, we've only had the food a few times over here, but for the most part, the beer has been pretty on point. So this pretty much keeps us coming back.
Oh, no. Do you like running around Campsite?
I love running around Campsite.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. It was a lot of fun. What do I have coming up? Next week's episode will be the Sean Ely episode. Make sure you do check out all of his YouTube channels. It's Eat Local, Hey Sean Ely, and also the number 6 of cheese. And he actually sent me some of his sauces that he makes, that he made, the hot Sixer sauce and then the normal Sixer sauce. They're really good. I mean, I really enjoyed them. I was putting the Sixer sauce on my hot dogs yesterday, so that was pretty bomb. And what else? I am recording at Bearded Tang on Friday, working on something with Aerolodge soon. Also, Pro 5, I'm going to be recording with them over in Upland I think it's Memorial Day weekend. And then also starting to talk to Audiograph. So hopefully we get something going soon. We're just trying to hammer down a date right now. And then also I'm putting together a women's roundtable, women brewers roundtable. So it's going to be Danny from Angry Horse, and then also Hodap on tap, Adrian Hodap, and also Bridget from Unsung. So that one should be pretty exciting. But I think we're going to be recording that in late June. So that should be pretty fun. Also working on some dates to talk to Comics and Brew from Instagram. He's got really good content, so definitely check it out. Also, what else am I going to be doing soon? I know there's another one I'm missing. Oh, I was talking to the Beard and Brewed podcast, so we might be doing something together, and also the Beer Belly Pod, because I want to be able to hear their story and how they got started. All right, well, that's all I got for this week. Hope everybody has a fun Cinco de Mayo. I'm probably going to have a few beers, maybe some tacos, who knows. All right. Well, yeah, hope everybody has a good week. Take care, Tap Fam.